Hey, Joe, what do you got for us tonight?
Tonight, we are covering the unsolved disappearance of April Andrews, a 15-year-old girl who disappeared from Pea Ridge, Arkansas in 2006. She was supposed to have been walking to a nearby church, but instead was last seen near an unknown truck speaking with an unknown man, and she has never been seen again.
Quiet your mind. Ever since the Earth has circled the sun, there have been fantastic tales of wonder and mystery that the faint of heart dare not discuss. But three brave, uninformed souls have the brass to tackle every extraordinary happenstance, from the modern age to the dawn of Mantis.
Welcome to Dawn of Mantis, true crime, mysteries, and more. I am Ivan with Joe and Sam. Hey, I want to start off by saying this. Fitzy, he sent us a message the other day. It was kind of cut off at the end. Something happened. Hey, send us something else. We want to talk to you because it sounds like you were interrupted in your thought. So, Fitzy, this goes to you, man.
Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, man. We love you. And thanks for the info before all that. That was awesome. So, we've got another local one. People love when we do these local ones. Mm-hmm. It kind of creeps me out a little bit, but I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Yeah.
Really quick before we start the episode, this is something I think I texted you guys about it. We might have to jump on and find out what episode it was. Actually, we need to. About 5 years ago, pre-Sam, Ivan, you and I did an episode called Where is Theodore John Conrad?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't remember that in particular, but I remember those old Where on Earth Is.
Yeah, it was something like that. And the episode that we did on him, and I should have had this prepared, I was doing some screenshots of some articles that recently came out. This has been solved. It's another one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's another one.
Because of us, right?
It was completely because of us. You know what's funny? It was solved like maybe a year or so after we did our episode, and I never even knew it.
Yeah.
So it's been solved several years ago, and I just found a little article yesterday talking about it.
Is it enough to rehash or maybe do a whole episode on?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting what actually happened to the guy. I think I'm about to find it because I've scrolled to it so many times. Yeah. Episode 62, Where on Earth is Theodore John Conrad? And we released it on the 8th of January, 2020. So early 2020. And I will let you all know in the shortest way possible. Basically on Friday, July 11th, 1969, Conrad, then 20, went to work. He worked at a bank, and he stole $215,000 in cash in a brown paper bag and walked out. And he was never seen again. Okay. Like, it was a D.B. Cooper type thing. They did not know where he was, okay? So he walks out. You know, it only took him a few days at the bank to realize, wait, Conrad's missing. All this money's missing. So is the money. Yeah. The hunt for Conrad went on for so long that one of Deputy U.S. Marshals involved during the investigation, John K. Elliott, was succeeded in the case by his son, Peter J. Elliott. Yeah, who became U.S. Marshal, blah, 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 blah. All right, so the case remained cold until November 2021. So we did our episode January 8th of 2020. So almost 2 years later, all of 2021, when Peter Elliott determined that Conrad had been living as Thomas Randell in Linfield, Massachusetts for almost that entire time. Oh. Conrad had died of lung cancer on May 18th, 2021, telling his daughter his real identity right before he died.
A deathbed confession.
It was a deathbed confession. Not right before he died, but very close before he died.
Yeah, he knew the writing was on the wall.
Yes. Elliott was tipped off to Conrad's whereabouts by an obituary for Randell, which listed his birthday as July 10th, 1947, 2 years earlier than the real birth date. His parents' first names matched Conrad. So they found out that after Conrad stole the money, he first went to Washington, D.C., then he went to L.A., and in 1970, he went to Massachusetts. He had a whole life there. He assumed the name Thomas Randell. Like I said, he got married in 1982, had a daughter, worked as a golf pro at the Pembroke Country Club, rising to manager, worked for luxury automotive dealerships for 40 years. It was only after he died that police found out he was the robber. So he was well-liked by local police and led a law-abiding life. This and the lack of fingerprints hampered the hunt for him. Anyway, they tied it all together. I don't know how this thing has been solved for 4 years, and I just now saw an article about it. But yeah, man, that was an episode almost 2 years after we did our episode. It was solved.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give a really late update.
So he told his daughter, and I guess I'm just reading between the lines. He just said, "Don't say anything until after I die." Maybe.
Yeah, there was a piece of the article that I didn't screenshot, I guess, because I read that she didn't know what to make of it, or kind of didn't take him seriously. And I think it was after he died, she did some research, and she had put it all together and discovered that it really was, she'd found out about this John Thomas Conrad or whatever it was, Thomas John Conrad.
Yeah.
And figured out that it was him, and she called the police and tipped it off, and
wow.
That's I'm pretty sure how that's all went. Yeah, so
man. A rare Dawn of Mantis update with the whole music from
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries, yeah. I always thought like, I'm so lucky there's an update.
Yeah.
Remember? It was so exciting when they had one.
Yep. John was found safe. His family called after seeing the show, and blah, blah, blah.
And I hope you out there are excited as well. That's awesome. We don't get those very often.
No, we don't.
None of our stuff really gets solved ever.
Maybe we'll get one with April here. Who knows,
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. All right. April Dawn Andrews was born on April 14th, 1991. She and her family, who were unfortunately severely impoverished, lived in Pea Ridge, Arkansas. Now, Pea Ridge is a town in the northwest part of the state, only 4 or 5 miles from the thriving Walmart world headquarter metropolis of Bentonville, and only about 3 miles from the Missouri state line. And also, just to drive home how local this case is, to us, Pea Ridge is only about 20 miles east of where we're sitting right now in the luxurious Redbeard Sound Studio.
I just drove through there today.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, like the rest of northwest Arkansas, Pea Ridge's population has grown significantly in recent years. Today, it is made up of roughly 12,000 residents, but back in 2006, it only had about 4,000. And it was less than 2 miles across from city limit to city limit. It's worth noting here that April had spent most of her life living in Rogers, though. That's only 6 or 7 miles away from, these are all close. But she had lived in Rogers most of her life up until just a couple years before her disappearance. She moved to Pea Ridge. Now, April had a total of 11 siblings. Wow. Some half, some full, yeah. But they'd been born over a long span, so by the time April was growing up, only 6 shared the same roof as her because several had grown up and moved on.
Okay.
Her father and mother, Tina, didn't find out the dad's name, but mother, Tina, split up when April was about 4 years old, and unfortunately, they were homeless for a little while after that. Several accounts I saw stated that her father had passed away before her disappearance. You're going to hear the word unfortunate quite a bit in this episode because it sadly seems to be the perfect word to describe April's short life.
Oh, man.
It's a bummer. After their short stint of homelessness, April, her mother, and siblings moved in with April's older sister, Tanya, who had already moved out, gotten a place, and started a family of her own. This may have brought a bit of stability back into April's life, but the poor girl still had a lot to overcome. Because unfortunately, she also suffered from some significant learning disabilities. In fact, at age 15, at the time of her disappearance, she was only operating at the level of roughly a 10-year-old. Because of this, April was assigned to the special education class in school, which unfortunately led to her being relentlessly bullied by several kids. I didn't find an exact date, but it looks like about a year or so before she disappeared, April was out riding her bike on the road and was run over by a car. I don't think she sustained any life-threatening or even lasting injuries, but the accident resulted in April and her family receiving some type of settlement. I don't know how much they got, but that settlement is what April's mom, Tina, had used to get the family their own apartment. Now, that apartment was at the King Lane apartment complex on Weston Street, basically right in the center of Pea Ridge. It's still there today. King Lane, yeah, you can Google Earth it, drop right on there. There's a sign in the lawn that says King Lane Apartments, 2 bed, 1 bath, apply today, whatever. These apartments were and still are pretty low income based, and the place is kind of, look, man, I don't want to upset anybody or offend anybody that's listening that's around there, but from what I read and the interviews I listened to and what people have said, it's kind of always been known to house an assortment of different, less than desirable characters like felons, sex offenders, and deadbeats. Maybe that's changed. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully it has.
Yeah. It's all Tina could afford.
Sure.
So it wasn't ideal, but it's what she could afford. So King Lane Apartments had to do. And the family moved in sometime around late 04 or early 05, best I could tell. But amidst all the struggles and hardships April experienced in her short life, it seems like the final couple of years may have been her happiest. According to her older sister, Tanya, the apartment at King Lane was the first place the family ever had that had multiple bedrooms. And for the first time, April got her own room.
Wow.
This was something that she was over the moon about. In fact, in a later interview, Tanya said that neither April nor the rest of her family ever seemed very happy until they got into that apartment. Unfortunately, that happiness would end up being short-lived.
The good old duplex.
Yeah, Sam has and that's it. It's just one turn off, and that is King Lane with apartments on the left and right side. And it only goes back about, 4 or 5 units on each side.
My sister lived in one of those for quite a while.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you can see, what is it, 4 on each side? Yeah. But they're duplexes, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks
8
like.
units on each side is what it looks like. Now, on the morning of Saturday, November 18th, 2006, April, her mother, and brothers walked to a nearby Dollar General located on Slack Street, less than half a mile south of King Lane Apartments. The Dollar General is still there and is exactly 2,400 feet from King Lane, less than half a mile. According to Google Maps, that would be about a 12 to 15-minute walk. As they were returning home, April noticed a sign out in front of the Church of the Nazarene, which was just across the street from the Dollar General. The sign was announcing that the church was doing a food drive and giving away clothing, which piqued April's interest. Remember, they were dreadfully poor at the time, so that would be something that would, she'd be really excited about. A short while after returning home, around 2:30 p.m., April told her mom that she was going to walk back down to the church and look through those clothes. Tina was like, okay, fine. Before leaving, April asked her brother Eli if he wanted to tag along. He declined. And then April left. And here's the dreaded sentence that I say in every one of these episodes.
And it was the last time they ever saw April again.
Thank you, Ivan. As April left her apartment, an 8-year-old girl who also lived at King Lane observed her walk through the parking lot. It was at this point an older brown single cab pickup truck, southbound, pulled up, putting the driver's side towards the apartment complex. She then observed April speaking to the driver for a short time. And this is where it gets murky. According to some accounts, she climbed in the truck. Other people said they didn't see her climb. She didn't climb in the truck. She was near a truck. She either climbed in it or she didn't. I kind of feel like she did.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I mean, I'm jumping way ahead. I know nothing about this, but it seems like even if she didn't, that's the case.
Right.
And so, as in casing the joint.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then he drives past and then he gets her a little
Yeah.
bit.
And the he is unidentified. So the girl gave a really good description of the truck. Unfortunately, the driver, there's nothing. I don't think there's jack squat of an identification on the driver. It was a male. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Most everyone does agree that April would have never gotten into a vehicle with someone she did not know. They all say she was fairly shy and very leery of strangers. So if she actually did get into the truck, maybe she knew the person driving it. At least that's what everyone said.
Oh, yeah, there's always that.
I don't know.
Wow, that's scary. Well, it's mainly just because we know these true crime things. Like, it's rare that it's ever just a rando.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, you would think it would be pretty common that just picking somebody from the road, but yeah, it could have been somebody she knew for sure.
Or it could have been a kid like me when I was 8 or 9 in Siloam when I just crawled into that van with those guys.
Yeah, I still think about that too.
Like, hey, where are you going? Oh, just down here to this church. Oh, let me give you a ride.
That easy.
But I also think the casing theory is the hypothesis. I don't have enough for it to be a theory. But if he said, where are you going? To this church? You want to ride? Oh, no, thanks. It's just right over here. Then he meets her up there.
Sure.
Because, churches are only busy a few times a week.
Yep. Later that afternoon, back at the apartment, Tina realizes her daughter had still not returned from church. It's been a little bit longer than I thought. According to a later interview with the older sibling, Tanya, and I know this because she was on another podcast and she gave a really long interview. It was really good. It is not known if Tina called the church to see if April was there or if she sent any of her older children out to check the area for the sister. Then at either 5:30 or 8:30 that evening, because there's 2 different accounts, don't know. So that's either 3 or 6 hours later, her mother called Pea Ridge Police Department to report April missing. Pea Ridge Police Officer Cyrilla Doyle soon arrived and took the report. April was then labeled an endangered runaway, and the rest of the department was informed. However, no Amber Alert or any BOLO of any kind was issued as far as I saw.
Okay.
So again, as happens so often, they were just like, she took off.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was supposedly a recent account from someone that claimed April had expressed she was thinking of running away because she felt guilty for being a financial burden on her mom. Now, as far as I know, that claim was never really verified. Most people seem to think, given April's diminished mental capacity, that she would never have felt that way,
Right.
especially so much so that she decided to run away. I don't know what to think about that, honestly, because, yeah, April was functioning at a 10-year-old level, but also I've read stories where 10-year-olds ran away as well. Rarely,
Sure.
But it's not impossible.
No?
Meanwhile, the family made dozens of flyers and posted them all around Pea Ridge the following day, Sunday, November 19th. However, within just a few days, every one of those flyers had been ripped down by someone.
Whoa.
Yes. And we've covered that in a couple other cases that has happened, but every single one of them.
Man, then it's like, is that the perp?
Yeah, why would you rip that down? Why would, unless you're just a horrible person.
Yeah, because I've seen like the same missing cat poster for like a long time.
Up until the rain has got it all faded away and it's just rotting.
There's like some dog that goes around and starts ripping them down. I can see that being a Far Side. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gary Larson.
He's got a trench coat and he's like ripping the missing cat poster.
I can visualize it. I see it.
That's another Chat GPT thing. That's awesome.
In the style of the Far Side.
Sadly, this is a kind of a common theme amongst missing person cases. Like I just said, we've seen that before. But another strange detail I found was that when the Nazarene Church was contacted, they not only said they hadn't seen April that day, they also said they'd never had any type of clothing giveaway or anything that day. No one had been there that day. Yeah. Nothing happened at the church. No, they said, no, we were closed that day. The church wasn't even open. There was nothing going on.
That's intriguing.
That's freaking weird. Why did April think there was the closed giveaway? Unless there was a sign for a different date that she misinterpreted, or I don't know. But they didn't say, no, our clothing giveaway was the previous Saturday or whatever. They were just like, no, we didn't do anything like that. From what I could find.
Wow.
That's a weird detail. According to the interview I keep referring to with April's older sister, Tanya, no searches were conducted. Tanya doesn't remember anyone, not even her family, going out and conducting searches for April. Here's what's crazy. The guy I was working with today, I do some side gigs with a buddy of mine, and I was working with him earlier today, and I just out of curiosity, because I knew we were going to be doing this episode tonight, I asked, because he was born and raised around here, and I was like, do you remember the April Andrews case? Do you ever? And he knew everything about it.
Whoa.
He was like, oh, yeah, I remember that was all over the place back in 06, 07? He's like, oh, yeah. And then he rattled off pretty much all my notes to me. And I was like, damn, dude, it's crazy.
Should have brought him in.
I know, right? He kind of keeps up with stuff like that, but it was real local too. And he said too, he's like, what I mostly remember about it is anyone that had the capability to really do something didn't. She was just let down. Yeah. He said it seemed like everyone was just like, yeah, I don't know. And she was just lost, man. It's so sad. No one fought for her really. I would say her sister Tanya did. I would say that, but so many people just let her down. This poor kid was just failed by everybody. Okay, so Tanya, who I keep referring to, she's 17 years older than April. So she was 32 when April went missing. So she was grown up, moved out, lived in a different town. So as strange as it seems that no thorough searches were conducted, it seems that that's most likely the case because, Tanya is the one that remembers all this. I'm saying she wasn't like a little sibling at the time. Like when she recalls it, she was a grown lady, right? And she came down a lot for all that stuff later. And we'll get to that. Tanya didn't come and search for April at the beginning because, well, let's just get to it.
I'm ready.
This case just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Okay, the police did look into a sketchy boyfriend that Tina had at the time, a guy with a pretty extensive criminal record, but nothing ever came of that. In lieu of basically no investigation, April's case grew cold. Big shocker. No new leads or progress to speak of was made for a couple of years. Oddly enough, and this is what I was alluding to a second ago, April's mother, Tina, seemed to keep the disappearance secret for over a year. She didn't tell anyone in her family, not even Tanya. Nobody knew.
A lot of times these people in the purview of DHS, purview is not right. That's probably not even a word in the system,
Yes,
as to speak,
that's it,
or
yeah.
they're afraid of that. They don't want to report one thing because it'll bring up something else, perhaps, that
Mm-hmm.
and get kids taken away and charges. And I'm just guessing. I mean, that's the best I have. But it sounds like that's all. There's not anything. There's not any reason. So I'd lean towards that until I had other evidence.
Well, here's another thing, too. April's mom collected for over a year. Her disability check, she continued to collect them.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I stand corrected.
So listen, April's older sister, Tanya, the way she found out that her little sister was missing was in a newspaper article more than a year later.
Holy crapola.
That's how she found out.
Oh
Her
my
sister-
She was
gosh.
estranged from the mom probably because she had terrible childhood.
Yeah, and she
just
said in the
got out
interview,
and
she had spoken to her mom a few times over the
she
phone.
never brought it up.
Mom never brought it up.
Well, she's going on the suspect board then for me.
How do you not bring up, one of our kids just vanished, and that doesn't come up in conversation?
Yeah, because I'd want to know, like, what are all the other things that came up? It's like, did you pick out your Halloween costumes for your kids yet?
Right.
You
Right.
know, I don't know. It's like, I don't know why that randomly came
It's
in my
so
head. but
bizarre.
Yeah.
So when asked how this was possible, like, how did you not know? And I think I kind of answered this already. How'd you not know for over a year? Tanya said she didn't live near her mom and siblings, and most of the time they didn't have a phone. So, unless they called from collect somewhere or something, they barely ever spoke, and she really only visited them if she drove down there.
I'm just guessing if you had a bad childhood, you get out and you just don't look back much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It sounds like that's what Tanya did, and she was probably smart for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanya went on to say after seeing that article, she drove to Pea Ridge and asked her mom point blank about the situation. She said Tina showed no emotion. She just shrugged and said, yeah, I don't know where she is.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, everyone failed her. Even after April's disappearance became known amongst the family, Tina never seemed to put much, if any, effort into getting the word out about her daughter. It was Tanya who carried the torch for her missing sibling. By the way, it was also Tanya who called the Social Security Administration and informed them that Tina was collecting April's checks. So she shut that down. She ratted out her mom, Didn't rat it out. If the person is doing something not right, you're just informing them, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Then something strange happened. On October 27th, 2008, nearly 2 years after April's disappearance, Cyrilla Doyle, that responding officer that took the report on April, she was the first one that showed up, she also went missing. This is where, was it this episode or the one before we talked about why listen or watch fiction when true life is always crazier?
Yeah.
This is right here, baby. She went missing too.
Holy crapola.
Yeah. Cyrilla's daughter had returned home from work that day, and her mom was not home. They shared a house in Bentonville, and she never saw her mom again. An investigation soon revealed that Cyrilla had recently lost her job, although I did find one account that said she'd recently retired, but she was only 51, so I don't know. 2 accounts. But also, this is definitely true, her husband had recently passed away after a diabetic coma. Cyrilla's daughter said her mother was depressed and suicide would not have been out of the question, but there was no sign of Cyrilla.
Man.
A search of her computer revealed that she had looked at purchasing a bus ticket to Tulsa, Oklahoma of all places, although no one knows why. Then, CCTV footage showed that on October 28th, the day after she'd gone missing, Cyrilla visited the local bus station, but it doesn't appear that authorities could figure out if she bought a ticket, and if so, where to.
Yeah. It just reminds me of, like, I've seen this in several TV shows and movies and stuff where there's one person on the case and they go poking around, like they go to some warehouse all by themselves and they're the only person that has this lead. So they walk into the warehouse to the back room and the whole time you're screaming at your TV, you're like, you're the only person that knows if something bad happens to you. It's in a whole new season of this crap. And then she gets killed and you're like, okay, whole new season.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
I usually don't.
Yeah, I do. I get lost pretty easy. Like,
I
I'll
get
lose
frustrated
interest.
pretty easy.
Yeah. The Tulsa police were alerted because, that was one of the respective places.
Sure.
They had seen no sign of Cyrilla. There had been no evidence of her there in the city that they could find. For nearly 10 years, there was no sign of her.
Wow.
Then in May of 2018, a set of skeletal remains were found on a rural property 5 miles east of Mason City, Iowa.
Oh my goodness.
Now, refresher, Mason City is only 5 miles east of Clear Lake.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah, Lexi and I drove up. Man, it was probably around... No, it was like 2021 to 20... Because you
It's
were...
2021.
2021,
I just started part 1 of the Buddy Holly series.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yesterday, again.
Did it age well, Sam?
It has.
Oh,
It's
it
aged
has.
so good.
I've re-listened to it within the last 6 months.
This is like I usually re-listen to it once a year, so this is probably my 4th time re-listening
Nice.
to it, 3rd or 4th. Oh, it's got to be my 4th because I re-listened to the whole dang thing when I edited it. So
It's just right up there by Clear Lake, and I just had to insert that I drove up there for that. So
It's a good plug for ourselves.
Well, I've been to Mason City too because Clear Lake was there was a lot of other stuff going there on when Lexi and I went up there. So we actually had the hotel we stayed at. I'm pretty sure it was over in Mason City. So we drove. It's a bigger town too.
Sounds like the Mason City Masonic Lodge would be legit.
I love that.
It's where it started.
This is the first one. It took a few months, but the remains were eventually identified as Cyrilla Doyle. Obviously, few questions.
Yeah, I got a few.
How and why did she travel over 500 miles north of her home in Bentonville? How did she die? Was it really a suicide? The police announced they suspected no foul play in her death, but also asked the public to come forward with any information that they may have as to how Cyrilla had traveled up there.
how on earth?
Wait a second. Where were the remains found?
500 miles north of her home.
But I mean, where? Like what kind of?
The closest I found was on a rural property outside Mason City. And I even found the address, but I don't know if it was in a field, in the house, in the garage, under a shed. I don't know.
So a body's, I don't want to say this because I think I'm dumb, but a body's found in a field in a place she doesn't live that obviously she has no ties to it.
Not that I saw.
No foul play.
Right.
She was hiking
Yeah.
in a
I don't
random
know.
field. I mean, I guess maybe there's nothing, I don't know. Maybe they've got to find a bludgeoning or some kind of damage to the skeleton I guess just because you find the body in a field, but I just don't know how. I mean, it just seems like that's very illogical, but I guess it is.
I think if you find a skeleton in a field, a foul play is immediately verified.
But I
That
guess
is-
I bet I can talk to a guy that was a detective for a long time and ask, but maybe there's the rules of that. To be designated foul play, it's got to have a definite, it can't just be a body's found in a field.
Yeah.
Even though our common sense thing is like, well, it should be, but maybe they agree with that too. But to really add it to the active cases, it needs some kind of like.
I bet if the bones were found like under a shed,
Oh yeah,
like under a slab they had busted out for something, and
but it just looked like somebody was walking and they fell and died. I mean, I don't know. It's probably something like that, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, police usually have a good idea what they're doing. So
Sure.
if they didn't feel like there was any foul play, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, some believe there's a connection between April's disappearance and Cyrilla's death. I guess because she was the officer there that day. But honestly, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I believe Cyrilla Doyle most likely committed suicide, but I have no idea why she would take a bus 500 miles north to do it in a field in Iowa or near a rural.
Yeah.
Sometimes people's minds just break and they do crazy things. I don't know. What do you think?
I watched too much TV, so I'm thinking like she found something. Like I said earlier, she knew she had the whatever,
Yeah.
and then somebody offed her. But that's not probable, probably. It said probable.
Probably.
That's stupid. It's not probably probable. It's improbable.
That's your new quote. Improbably. In 2009, 3 years after April went missing and just a few months after the disappearance of Cyrilla Doyle, but she hadn't been found yet, obviously, the Pea Ridge Police Department turned April's case over to the Benton County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
This turned out to be a really good thing because it was then that April's case seems to finally be like investigated. Just to put
You
it.
just threw shade without. Like you threw shade in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Benton County began an investigation that has since included hundreds of interviews and calls. They discovered that a man who was living at King Lane at the time of April's disappearance drove a truck that matched the description given by that 8-year-old witness.
Wow.
But the details of that person and any connection he had not been released to the public. I actually found an old clip where they'd interviewed the police chief or somebody in law enforcement. When asked about that, hey, we heard that you investigated a man that lived in King Lane with that truck, he was like, yeah, we're not at liberty to discuss. And I was like, oh, but no other details ever came out. But there's something there maybe that they just haven't, a lot of times the cops, it's like everyone knows it, but there's just that one freaking piece of tangible or physical evidence you need to just really snatch the guy or whatever. But maybe it's a situation like that, but they were pretty tight-lipped about it.
Yeah.
They also received a tip that April's body was possibly in a large pond south of Pea Ridge. That pond was drained and searched, but no trace of April was found. My buddy Jared actually brought that up when we were talking about this earlier. He said, I drove by several times that day. He said, I remember there were like white FBI corner vans or there was all kinds of activity around there. There was a track hoe. There was a couple of backhoes and they were pumping out. Like he drove by the pond as they were searching because he knew they were looking for her. It's been almost 19 years since April Andrews walked out of her apartment and was never seen again. There aren't that many theories as to what may have happened to her, but here is what's out there. Let's go over. Given her mother's blasé attitude towards the whole thing, her unwillingness to help with the investigation, and her continued collecting of April's checks, some suspect that she had a hand in April's disappearance. It also is a possibility that Tina made up the story about free clothes at the Nazarene Church in order to have a destination for her daughter to supposedly walk to that day in her story, because many find it strange that the church wasn't doing shit that day.
Yeah.
That's how the church put it when they asked her, I think. But why make up a clothing drive at the church and not just say April was walking back to the store or something? Other than these very suspicious details, there's no concrete evidence at all linking Tina to her daughter's disappearance. Actually, there's no evidence supporting any theory because there's no evidence, period.
Yeah.
But, here we go. Another theory is that April actually did run away. Again, with so little information regarding her case, it's hard to confirm or deny that. The most likely theory is the most obvious one, that April ran into the wrong person that day and she was abducted. Even years later, that 8-year-old girl, who is 27 now, still maintains the same story she told in 2006. Although it's unlikely that April would have gone into a vehicle with someone she didn't know, maybe she'd seen some guy around and even talked to him, someone her family wasn't aware of, and she felt comfortable with him.
Yeah.
I always thought about that. An older guy, maybe... April was out walking around town quite a bit. Maybe she'd bumped into him a few times and they'd had small talk. And I don't know, maybe he was just nice enough and to let her put her guard down,
Ed Kemper would pick up people. He would pretend like he was, I've told you this before.
Yeah, but it's been
he
a
was
while.
short on time. He would look at his watch. I don't know. Okay.
I guess
it's okay.
Yeah.
Just to disarm. So the reason why I bring that up is these guys, sadly, they find ways to disarm people. And more often than not, these dudes are quite intelligent.
Mm-hmm. Ed Kemper has a really high IQ.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he's going to best her on intelligence and he could come up with anything.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, maybe she had kind of known a dude that got her to let her guard down enough. Maybe he offered her a quick ride. One of you said this earlier.
That's probably the most likely.
Yeah.
That usually they have some type of tie.
Yeah. And even a half mile, that's 10, 12 minutes. So that's a little bit of a walk.
Could have been somebody she'd seen several times that had just waved at her.
Yeah.
Somebody she saw at the dollar store. Somebody, I'm going to the dollar store. You saw me there the other day. Oh, yeah.
Just have a ride down there.
Checks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Well, April was a white female who stood 5'4". She weighed about 100 pounds and had blonde hair, kind of short, and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a brown sweater, a black halter top, light brown corduroy pants, and multicolored sneakers. If April is still alive, she's 34 years old, and the Charlie Project website has an age-progressed photo showing what she may look like today.
Those are always kind of eerie.
I know, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you always wonder, how close would it be, if they actually found the person? How close would that be?
I think that they've used living examples to put that data in there, so I think it's pretty good.
I do want to say, dadgummit, in an episode 1 or 2 episodes ago, you were trying to think of, we were talking about family annihilators. That guy's name was List.
John List. That's right. You said John, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I said John something with an S. But on the way home that night, I was like, List! It was John List! Shit! It makes me so angry when I can't think about it.
Why?
Here.
It's more important that you know the case, not the name.
Okay.
Memorization of just names is low. Memorizing exactly what he did is the more intelligent thing to know. So would you rather know the name and not the case, or the case and not the name? I'd rather know the case and not the name.
That's a great Chris Farley impression, Joe.
And then I pulled my hair straight up and it stuck up. Yeah.
For the love. Yeah.
Yeah. My Lord Almighty. Yeah. The investigation into April's disappearance is still an open case, open investigation. Police are still asking for information. So if you know anything at all about April's disappearance out there, anybody, you can call the Pea Ridge Police Department at 479-451-8220 or the Benton County Sheriff's Office at 479-271-1008.
Perhaps you can help solve a mystery.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Should we mention the thumbnail thing at the end of this episode?
Let's do it. Like, you guys describe it. It's your baby. Tell them about it. I think it's brilliant.
So we're using AI, and sorry to artists out there. I really don't like AI art, but we don't have any money, so we wouldn't pay people to do this anyway. And we're not, we know a person could do a lot better job. We know that. So this is a soulless robot that creates these. But we're making a podcast thumbnail for every episode now, and it's usually related to something funny one of us might say, or it might just be something that's themed based on the case. So you'll notice every week the thumbnail should change if we actually remember to do it. So anyway, hope you enjoy that. Hope it doesn't mess with your head that each episode has a different thumbnail. I doubt it. I think you guys are smart.
No, it's great. It's great.
Be like a little Easter egg every
little
week.
Easter egg. What's it going to be this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So sometimes we don't ever know until we record the case.
Yep. Yeah. It'll be fun. And then we're going to, as we do like you said, as we do the episode, the thumbnail will present itself.
Yeah. So since it's such a close one, it's not a funny one.
Right.
Expect funny ones on old cases and something far away. And if you ever see a funny one on a serious case, just know that we randomly banter. So we just thought that was funny, and we weren't trying to be disrespectful. We always punch up, not down.
There you go. And if you think we banter now, go back and listen to the old episodes pre-Sam, like the John Conrad one that I just spoke about. It was 40 minutes of us bullshitting about everything other than him before we got to the episode.
Yeah,
but I do want to say...
Kevin mentioned that one day, a guy that listens to all these, and he said, yeah, Sam does a lot for you guys, because I just listened to an old one, and he said it's still good. Those little lawless old OG days.
It was the Wild West. But I have went back, and on almost every episode, took me months to do, I would re-listen to them, and in the thumbnail, most of them say subject matter begins at 12 minutes, 20 seconds, or whatever. We've said it before, but there's a few of the old episodes that are like 3.5 hours long, and it was just off the rails. But those are
for sure
freaking great to go back and listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a time capsule.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone again for listening. Sorry we didn't have quite as fun one as we did, last week with the smash and grab. But hey, we got to cover these disappearances, man.
But maybe just somebody listen to this, something rattles loose. I remember something that pertains that you just never know.
Nope. Especially with one this local. A lot of people around here listen. We might shake something loose, like you said.
Yeah, man, she deserves something.
The girl
better
deserves
than what she got.
a lot. Exactly. Way more than what she got, man. I really got bummed out doing certain parts of this research. Just the carelessness towards most of it was just such I would like to think that if me or you or anybody listening were just to vanish, that more people would give a shit than what happened with this poor girl.
Oh,
I would
even
like
that,
to think
if it was one of our daughters.
Oh yeah. God, I feel so bad. No, there was no one really to fight for.
Yeah.
Just this poor girl, man. And she'd already had such a rough go. Everything was against her, from just her economic standing to learning disabilities and just everything was stacked against her. So,
wow.
Maybe the least we could do at this point, we as in anybody out there, is get some justice for her as to what happened to her. So, man, it's like the only thing we can do at this point.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thanks everyone. Remember those phone numbers I stated off earlier. If you do know anything, give them a call. Maybe this one could be solved. Good night.